Pete, we've taken it a lot of different directions today for sure, but let's go ahead as we wrap up the pod and do really what people want so they can yell at us when they say, ha ha, you were wrong, and make some picks. You and I last week were both decidedly mediocre in our picks, both of us going 500 at 3-3. I worry about groupthink with us. I think we had a difference here and there, though I was not on the pod on Wednesday, but I think we had a difference.
We did have some differences. I definitely took Indiana. I remember that. I'm staying with Sig, but I lost a bunch too. Like nobody's patting themselves on the back for accurate predictions in 2025.
No,
so
right. No, man.
And I took Indiana part because I had faith in them pick to make the playoff, and then in part because we were starting to get a little group thinky. So I
did that. I've forgotten which game it was a couple of weeks ago. We were going through this, and you and I don't know who the other guy's going to pick. And I remember thinking I was going to pick one way, and I was like, geez, we're going to have all the same picks if I don't. And it was close. I would never – I always say this like on the show. Mm-hmm. The host role, I mean, you know this. I mean, the guys tease me about this. I don't like it when a producer says to the host, tee somebody up. I've got things to do. I've got a life. You can get a trained seal or a trained squirrel from Captain Andrew Luck out there to say, what do you think of the game? I mean, a host is supposed to know his limitations. You don't argue with foot placement and hand placement on DB playing press coverage with Nick Saban. That's not
sure
the role.
Don't.
But you can argue about who's a better team, whether he should have punted, whether Kirby had the timeout, whatever. Those types of things contribute to the discussion, right? Mm-hmm. So I never say anything and present it as if I believe it if I don't. But sometimes the host has to present the responsible opposing view and say, well, okay, I hear you. Maybe you even agree with it strongly, but sometimes you say, but what about? Like that. So maybe I would say the pick that I went against you because of that was like I was going back and forth. I landed one place. Pete went there. We need to have some differences. I'll take the other side. That's the only case. Otherwise, whatever I say on TV or on this podcast, you can believe that I believe it. And in the words of the great George Costanza, it's not a lie if you believe it. So with that, here we go. Let's start with LSU and Vanderbilt. Earlier in the podcast, as we were meandering our way through several topics before we talked to Ivan, I mentioned the struggles that the LSU offense has had. Surprisingly, we attributed some reasons to that. Vanderbilt, meanwhile, comes in Diego Pavia. This is a huge, huge game for Vanderbilt because if Vanderbilt doesn't win this game at home against LSU, after losing to Alabama, it'll be 2 conference losses, and it'll be, hey, that's a nice story. Good for you, Vanderbilt. You don't stink anymore. If you win this, then you're still in the mix. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not saying they're mathematically eliminated with a loss, but it de facto probably so in terms of SEC and college football playoff, things like that. Big game for them, and the same is true for LSU. Mm-hmm. Now they'll face a little more heat if they lose the game, but it's massive. LSU hasn't been able to run the ball. Vanderbilt, their rush defense is pretty solid, but they've given up some big plays passing. How do you see this game?
Yeah, I am going to not trust my eyes, which have kind of been glazed over by the LSU offense, and take LSU on the road. I feel like Nussmeier, even though they didn't score a bunch in that South Carolina game, I saw Garrett Nussmeier again. He's obviously been bothered by that oblique, and he's been like a little bit shaky. He, to me, took a step forward the other night against South Carolina, and I feel like they will be able to muster enough offense and have enough explosion in order to beat Vandy.
I want to go against the grain and go against what your inherent body of work and experience tells you, that Vanderbilt's not going to win this game. You just feel like that they're going to fight. They're going to make it close. They're going to get there, and LSU is going to find a way to win. I'm going to go with Vanderbilt.
Go for it.
I think LSU.
They're favored. It's not crazy. They're favored. Las Vegas thinks Vanderbilt's going to win.
Which is a little bit of a sucker play because I think I'm going to need to see it to believe it, but there's something about this year and the upstarts. And I just saw it last week. Even though my eyes told me Indiana was better than last year, my eyes hadn't said that I thought they would go into Oregon. And I mean, I thought they could win, but dominate the game largely, with the exception of a couple of explosive plays. They dominated the line of scrimmage. I don't know if Vanderbilt can do that against them, and it does scare me that Vanderbilt has allowed 11 touchdown passes. And if there is a way for LSU to put up points, it is certainly through the air and not on the ground. But I'm gonna trust Pavia with this one, and I'm gonna say that that Vanderbilt wins one, and the heat really turns up there at LSU, especially with A&M and Alabama with their next two games with an off weekend there in between. Ole Miss and Georgia. DJ, our producer, he said he laid down the law earlier, Pete. He said, don't pick the dogs. The last time everybody picked the dogs lost. I can't take it anymore. He's begging us to pick Ole Miss. And you are going to do what?
I'm not going to listen to DJ. I'm going to take the dogs between the hedges, man. I mean, I give them credit for finding themselves in the second half again. And if there's one thing about Kirby Smart and his program, there's a DNA there that has gone from year to year, even as the players change faster than they used to. So I feel like the dogs are going to be able to slow Trinidad Chambliss, force him to sit back and play quarterback in the pocket, which a lot of people haven't made him do, and they figure out a way to win.
DJ, this is for you, but not what you think. On Saturday, I'll have a little chicken. I'll have a little drink. I'll look at all the girls, and I'll give one or two a wink. I've been waiting since last Saturday to see another one beat. Friends, it's time once again to let the big dog eat. I'll take Georgia.
That is good analysis. That's why you come to this podcast.
Third
the
Saturday
only thing
in
Rece
October.
likes close to goofy Big Ten trophies are fight songs,
Yeah.
or like song appropriate.
Ancillary fight songs.
Ancillary fight songs.
Yeah,
that's fine. Yes.
A fight song adjacent.
Yes,
fight
there we
song
go.
Adjacent
That's exactly
music.
what it is.
That's what we like. On that subject, third Saturday in October, there is consternation between the two sides over Dixieland Delight. It has become something that is a staple at Alabama. Tennessee fans will tell you, well, it's a song about a Tennessee byway. And so you have all of this stuff. But the one thing that's happened, though, Tennessee has won games recently in Knoxville, the last two Knoxville meetings. The last time they won in Tuscaloosa, 2003, a game in which a Mike Shula squad repeatedly snatched defeat from the jaws of victory, including giving up a 4th and 19 in overtime for a first down, followed by a deflected pass touchdown to carry us on. It took 5 overtimes. But is this the day that Alabama, after this grind of consecutive weeks of Georgia, payback against Vanderbilt, on the road against a good Missouri team, now they have to do it again against a Tennessee squad, powerful on offense? Is this the time that Heupel gets a win in this rivalry on the road?
I don't believe so. One thing I've come to appreciate is that I think there's a talent level in the Alabama secondary that's going to be a little different than what Tennessee has seen. Joey Aguilar, I think we all remember him from the first couple drives against Georgia. I would say he's been good, but a little bit inconsistent since then. He's got 5 picks this year. I think he has not quite seen something like he's going to see on Saturday. So I am going to go with the Tuscaloosa rendition of Dixieland Delight, and I'm going to take the Tide.
I'm going to take Alabama too. I think this is going to be a wild, high-scoring game. Alabama still hasn't solved all of its problems in rush defense. Though they did a really good job against Ahmad Hardy, they still gave up some chunk plays against Missouri. Alabama's pass defense, as you said, has been very good. And I'm going to tell you, this freshman, John Lee, he's got NFL written all over him in a couple of years. He's been terrific, and he will be challenged by the downfield passing attack that Tennessee has. I think Alabama gets Ryan Williams going. He didn't have anything. I think they get Jeremy Bernard going because I think Tennessee likes to challenge and play play a little bit of man. The big deal is going to be, can they get pressure on Ty Simpson?
Yes.
If they can and can force some mistakes, which he has not been prone to do, it will help the Vol cause greatly. But I'm going to go with Alabama at home winning the game. USC at Notre Dame. We've talked a lot about the Irish with Ivan. Probably haven't talked enough about USC. USC's got a great story brewing in the backfield. They lost their 2 running backs last week against Michigan, and then they had an invited walk-on, King Miller, come in and just burn up Michigan. He had 159 yards after Waymon Jordan and Eli Sanders were hurt. I'll be relying on him. It might be a night where you need to rely on the running game. If it is indeed rainy, windy, stormy in South Bend, where we remember a couple of years ago when Caleb Williams got turned upside down in a blustery night in South Bend. What do you like? Who do you like in this game?
I like Notre Dame in this game. I want to give Lincoln Riley and USC a lot of credit for the Michigan win. That was as big of a win as USC has had probably since the LSU game to start last season. But that was since they have entered the Big Ten, they have not been able to slug with Big Ten opponents. I think back to the Minnesota game on the road last year, the Maryland game on the road last year. I just wonder if the totality of the DNA of toughness in USC is going to be ready for Notre Dame, for South Bend, for the environment, for the stakes, with the issues they've had, obviously, at running back. So I will take the Irish in this game, but I do think it will be close, and we could see a classic.
I think it's going to be a great game, too. I'm going to take Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame, I did a thing this week where, just for my own edification, broke down teams into tiers.
Okay.
And sort of like socioeconomic status, not ranking. And not in their NIL stuff, just like where they are as a team. I like the 1%ers. I have Miami and Ohio State. The 1 to 2%ers that might move into that realm, Indiana, sort of by itself. I have Notre Dame teetering on the millionaire, multimillionaire tier. I think Notre Dame's right there.
They're in the cul-de-sac.
They're right there. I think SC's really good. And a big thing in this game is going to be turnovers. I reached out to our great researcher, Marissa Dowling, and because I had noticed as I was going through some stuff from the last couple of years, I was like, wait a minute. They forced 5 turnovers against Caleb Williams. They had the 2 pick sixes last year. What's that look like? So she broke it down. In the Riley Freeman era, Notre Dame does have an edge in turnover margin, but where it's really been amplified the last 2 meetings. Irish lead the turnover margin 7-2. That's bad. This is worse. They've outscored USC 42-7 in points off turnovers. They have 2 pick sixes and a fumble return for a touchdown in the last couple of games. It is 20 years since the Bush push, and SC will need something similar to pull this game out. I do think it'll be wild. I think it'll be close. If I were a man who played games of chance, I would be very hesitant to lay the number of points that they are putting out there right now. It looks like rain. Temperature's not going to be bad, but it looks like rain on Saturday night. I'm gonna go with the Irish and say they win a close, wild one. And let's be honest, this is an elimination game for Notre Dame. If Notre Dame loses this game, no matter what I think about the way they played against Miami, the way they played against A&M, the way they play against SC, they have to win now. Because at some point, even if you are evaluating the things as we talked about with Ivan, how teams play as opposed to just number of losses, you've got to win some of them. And Notre Dame doesn't have a lot of opportunities left on its schedule against high-level opponents. So this is a must-win for Notre Dame, and I say they come through and get it done.
Was Bush Push really 20 years ago?
2005.
Wow, that makes me feel old. Ago. I covered that game.
Yeah?
Yeah. It was awesome. It might be, I was going to ask Ivan about it. We didn't get there, but that might be my favorite game I've ever covered. It's in the top 5 for sure. I mean, Statue of Liberty, for Boise, but that game was electric.
And didn't SC, as I recall, didn't Leinart hit Jarrett? I think Dwayne Jarrett on like a 4th and 9 for a huge play, great play to keep the game alive.
Yeah, I want to say Anthony Fasano got fumbled going, like they would have won probably. Fasano got stripped from behind, kind of going into the red zone. There are a million plays in that game. They stormed the field, unstormed the field. Like it was, there was a little bit of everything there. That was the rare contract extension off a loss that Kevin White regrets.
Yeah. Well, the one thing, decided schematic advantage.
There we go.
Notre Dame had on all of ball at that time. Yeah. Utah and BYU, the Holy War. BYU undefeated. They escaped against Arizona. Utah, its only loss, they got clobbered at home by Texas Tech. What do you think?
I think Utah's defense figures out a way to slow Bear Bachmeier, and I think they figure out a way to win. Bear Bachmeier has been unbelievable. He's been among the, if not the best freshman quarterbacks in the country, considering he didn't even play spring, because remember he was at Stanford this spring going over there. But I feel like this game is a slog, and Utah finds a way. Dampier scoots a little bit, and the Utes win.
Remember last year? Last year, that really good BYU team ended up pulling the game out. There was a wildly controversial penalty, although I think it was an accurate call. It just didn't have a lot to do with the game. There was a 4th down sack inside the last 2 minutes on their own 1 yard line that would have won the game for Utah. Waved off because of a defensive holding penalty. Retzloff drove the Cougars down. They kicked a field goal, 4 seconds to go, won the game. I expect something weird like that.
Yeah.
AD after the game at Utah,
Mark
saying
Harlan,
that the officials, hosed us. They stole the game, disgusted by their professionalism.
He went to the press conference. AD,
yeah, I know it. Yeah, it was unbelievable. You have all of these connections with Kalani Sitake having been on Kyle Whittingham's staff for basically a decade. He found his coordinators there. Whittingham played at BYU. Something weird's going to happen in this game. And I think the weirdest thing would be, because I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop on BYU, because Bachmeier's terrific. He's young. And the things that you mentioned, I don't think it's this week. I'm gonna go with the Cougars at home, finding a way to pull it out. Right. And here's one more. The guy who leads the Big 12 in sacks, John Henry Daly, used to be a starter at BYU. Now he's doing it for Utah. BYU's got a defensive lineman that started 19 games for the Utes, and now he's got a sack for the Cougars. It's wild, man. People always say, well, this is like playing your brother. Literally, there are so many family connections here, and guys who work together and are close, and fans don't like each other, but everybody else seems to, and it'll be intense Saturday night. I'm going to say the Cougars pull a little bit of a surprise and stay unbeaten for the moment.
I've never been to that game in my career, and that's one I just want to go to. I've been lucky. I've been to most of them, right? Done this a long time. I would really love to go to that game. I think it'd be awesome. So hopefully
I haven't
it lines
been
up
either.
for us some year. Oh, you haven't, huh?
Yeah, I haven't. I've been obviously to games both places.
Sure.
Big games at both places, but I haven't been to a Utah BYU game either. I don't think somebody's going to say, "Hey, knucklehead," and they'll pull out me broadcasting some game when they play weeknight. But
some Thursday,
off the top of my head, I don't think I've ever been to a game where they were playing each other. I'd love to go there at some point too.
Yeah.
You chose the deep cut game, so lead us off, Sunbelt man.
I will choose the deep cut game. I am excited for the Sunbelt matchup, for positioning for the Sunbelt title game between James Madison and Old Dominion, both of whom are having excellent seasons. Ricky Ronnie's Old Dominion team, as I call them up here, is 12th in the country in total offense. Colton Joseph's having a giant year for them. The offensive play caller, Kevin Decker, is a branch of the Chip Kelly, Ryan Day tree from Sean McDonald at UNH, and they've got the offense cooking there. And then we have another New England tie. There's always a masshole tie, Rece. Bob Chesney has really done a great job at James Madison. If you think about, that place was rolling for a while, and it rolled through 3 or 4 different coaches. Obviously, we know Kurt Signetti took all the best James Madison players, because we see them all. Aiden Fisher, D'Angelo Pons, I believe Kamara came from there at the end.
Yep, he did.
Elijah Surratt, right? Those are 4 potential All-Americans who were at James Madison. So there was obviously an exodus that followed Sig, and Bob Chesney, God bless him, has figured out a way to rebuild and retool that place to where they're sneaky in the mix for the Sun Belt Championship and that G5 spot. So that is a little more background than you might have wanted on your friendly Sun Belt matchup. But I'm going to take Old Dominion. I think they keep rolling and scoring behind Colton Joseph, and they deliver a W.
Okay. If you are, in case you've forgotten, it was a big moment of consternation last year. Matthew Sluka, who left UNLV. If you're wondering his whereabouts, he is now a member of the James Madison Dukes, although he's not playing a lot there, I don't think, right now. Old Dominion, until the loss to Marshall last week, their only loss had been against Indiana in the opener. And they didn't really, just get annihilated. They kind of hung in there. And then Marshall had a couple of turnovers last week, got doubled up in score, game got away from them. I'm gonna ride with the Dukes at home.
Okay.
Their home field advantage, great place to play. I'll go opposite you just to make it interesting, and I'll go. James Madison's provided such great game day crowds.
Yes.
How can I go against